Hey, this is Corey from Trivium. You're watching MULATSCHAG, the only TV you need.
Perfect.
MULATSCHAG!
Is it hard for you not being involved in writing the lyrics of the Trivium songs?
No. I've written some lyrics on old records, but that's not really been my thing. Matt and Paulo, they both sing, so they're more, competent with writing vocals and lyrics and stuff like that. So I've always just been more kind of focused on contributing to the music, and a lot of the melody stuff I do, I just write it on guitar because I don't sing. So I come up with like a song title here and there for a song, but I just let those guys kind of handle it. They kind of have it, have their little method and kind of process of how to, what the song needs for a theme or lyrics and stuff like that. So we have a really good, songwriting dynamic where we all contribute, and then there's certain things that other people kind of like that's their forte. So I just kind of let them kind of do their thing. They're really good with, Paulo's really great with coming up with like cool lyrical themes. He reads a lot of like books and everything like that, so he always has like a lot of really cool, interesting takes on trying to make the lyrics and everything as interesting as possible. So that really fit the song. So those guys have been, Matt before on a lot of the records, he would just do it all himself, and then the last couple records, Paulo's kind of jumped in and really helped kind of like take a little of the weight off of Matt's shoulders from having to write a full record full of lyrics, and they can kind of split it up to kind of, it's easier when you don't have to like rack your brain to try to write lyrics for 12 songs, and you can kind of collaborate and work together to make it a little bit easier. And sometimes certain songs, maybe Paulo just kind of like come up with an idea first, and just kind of they'll just develop it from there. So it's always cool, it's like if I did have an idea for lyrics, I'm sure they would be open to it, but I don't really need to. I'm not really into writing lyrics. I think the last time I wrote lyrics to a song was like 10 years ago, so I'm a little rusty at that.
In 2008, you played a secret show at the, I hope I say it correct, the Whiskey A Go-Go on Sunset. What does it mean to you to play on legendary stages like this?
It was cool. I think it was like, that was probably the only time we ever played there was a MySpace secret show, so that shows you how far that goes back. But it was cool. It was a free show, first come, first serve, and it was a lot of fun. If you're into that era of music, the Sunset Strip, and just seeing, they have like a plaque out in the venue that says of all the legendary bands that played there. So it's pretty cool to have played there before. We played a couple other places on the Strip that are pretty legendary as well, and it's nice to be able to play them because a lot of those clubs and stuff, some of them have gone away, or the kind of scenes changed. So it's cool to say that we've been able to play at some pretty legendary places all around the world. The first time we headlined in London on I think it was Crusade tour, so it was like 2007, I think. We got to play the Hammersmith Odeon in London, which is Maiden played there back in the day, Metallica, everyone played there. So that was really cool to play there, because we go back and have seen Metallica play there. Like, you go on YouTube and see like Metallica and all those guys playing there on like Master of Puppets tour and stuff like that. And so it's pretty cool. Like, if there's a place that we know that a lot of our favorite bands have played in back in the day, we kind of know the history, and it's always cool to say that we got to headline there, and we got to play Madison Square Garden in New York City. So technically we were like the first Roadrunner band to play. We were on tour with Slipknot, and we were opening, so we technically got to play it first. But they're the first Roadrunner band that headlined Madison Square Garden. So that was a cool experience, and that's to say you got to play the Gardens, pretty rad. Not that I know of. I think a couple years ago, my mom did one of those ancestry things, and it kind of like she traced it back to like when my side of the family came to America, but didn't go beyond that. So I know there was some relatives that came over on the Mayflower way back in the day. So, but I think it was like if you wanted to go past that, you would have to pay for it, and I guess she didn't want to. So I don't know really how far or where it goes back to. I just know in France there's like a region or like where that name kind of originates from, and I know there's like a wine. Everyone asks me if that's like part of my family. Like I'm like, no, I don't got wine money. So, but it's pretty cool. You know, there's I know there's also a British version of my name. I looked it up and it doesn't. They pronounce it way different than I've ever heard it. So, yeah, and I know because my dad's side, that's that part of it. A lot of relatives were from French Canada, so I'm sure it goes way back to somewhere in France. But I haven't done any research on it.
What's your favorite Slash guitar solo?
Like Slash from Guns N' Roses? Ooh. That was like my first band I ever got into, so that one could be a lot. Definitely on the top of my head, I always really liked the Night Train solo and You Could Be Mine, and also Double Talk and Jive were a couple, but pretty much it's like you could take any solo from Appetite for Destruction and it's a classic. So that was like my first album. First album I think if I can remember right, that Appetite was the first record I ever bought like with my own money. So I pretty much, Guns N' Roses was the only band I knew about for a couple years when I was a kid. So I listened to that record to death. It was kind of like my first band that I got into that got me into rock metal, and then that kind of was like the gateway into learning about Metallica, Megadeth, and it just kind of like, you know, you just kept trying to find all the new bands you can. So they were the gateway, and then it just kind of like led me to try and discover as much cool music that piqued my interest. So it definitely went from there to all the thrash stuff, to Maiden, to death metal, and everything like that. So yeah, so I still have a fondness for the GNR, and still haven't seen the reunion yet, so hopefully I'll be able to catch that someday.
And speaking of guitars, how many guitars do you own, and which is the most important to you?
Ooh, I lost count. Yeah, I think last time I counted I had like 70 something, but I haven't over the last few years I haven't really gotten any new guitars, so the collection has kind of stagnated for a bit. But I always, all my guitars that I've used throughout my career, all of them hold some kind of different sentimental value. So that's why I have so many, because I don't sell anything. I just keep it all. I'm kind of hoard all the guitars in my closet. So they always come in handy. There's some stuff that I used on tour a little bit, and some stuff's more like that I've used on albums that make it special. That is, I know which guitars where I used on certain albums or songs that make it kind of a little part of history for me. And then, but definitely my Jackson signature guitars are my babies. So I got a lot of those. And the great thing about Jackson is when they build a guitar, they're all awesome. Like there's not like, oh, this one's a little not as good as the other ones. They're all like, the quality's all the same, so it's like you could pick any of them up and you don't really notice a difference. There's a couple that just have certain features that kind of stand out, that kind of like my baby, that I won't bring on tour because I don't want to mess it up, but yeah, like all the guitars, they make them great. And some other stuff I just kind of collect just certain guitars I've always just wanted to have. So I have like an Yngwie Malmsteen like Stratocaster, which I don't play Strats at all, but I always just wanted to have one. So I bought one of those. So it's when you're a guitar player and a guitar nerd, you just like, there's never enough guitars to own.
Your band name in Latin means three-way. Is it a sexual preference from the band members?
No. Well, the name came from the original singer who was in the band. But he was in the band for like 2 weeks, but they kept the name. It's kind of like I guess like a different name for like a metal band. And it's also, Matt took high school. He took Latin, which also is Latin for the three schools of learning. It was like grammar, rhetoric, and logic. And kind of made sense originally when the band was a three-piece, since it's three. But then I joined and screwed it all up. But it's a cool name. It's like to have like a one-word name that's kind of stands out from being kind of a non-typical metal band name. It's kind of cool because it kind of, I guess in a way, gives us, the kind of freedom to do a bunch of different stuff with our music and not be kind of like stuck having to do one certain thing. So it's kind of nice because we like the really heavy stuff, melodic stuff, and everything in between that we can kind of just blend it all together in our own thing, and it works for us. It's good. It's good to have like a very open, creative, kind of palette where nothing's really off limits. That's why probably no one in the band's ever really ventured off and done a side project, because basically we can kind of creatively do almost anything that that we want to do within Trivium. So it's like anytime I write something, it's always, I could use this for Trivium if it's cool. I don't have to be like, save this for a side project. So it's kind of nice to have that creative freedom to just kind of do whatever kind of pops in your head and kind of go with it. So it's always fun, and everyone in the band writes, so you get a lot of different variety and ideas and riffs and stuff like that. We all kind of have like slightly different styles, but it all kind of meshes really well to make what our sound is. So it's nice. Yeah. Hey, this is Corey from Trivium. You're watching MULATSCHAG, the only TV you need.
MULATSCHAG!